He's for every one of us. He stands for every one of us. Please welcome to our stage, Mr. Sam Jones.
Let's put that on, Patty. How's that? Hey, thank you. Thank you for showing up. I know you could be doing other things right now, like visiting my buddy Lou Ferrigno, yeah? Well, I can't see you. We got some bright lights here.
But we want this time with you, sir.
Well, let's hear for Patty. Come on, right here, moderator.
Too kind. So, like I said, I wanted to do a couple of early deep dives before we talk about early deep dives. First of all, my question I always ask all my guests is what got you into acting? How'd that begin for you?
Well, let me see. I was in the Marine Corps. I wanted to be a lifer. Yeah, come on, Semper Fi. Right out of high school, and yeah, I was going to be a lifer until I started playing Marine Corps football, and I said to myself, I'm good. Matter of fact, I'm so good, I think the NFL needs me. So I did my time in the Corps, went to the Seahawk camp. I walked on in the camp, and they said, after my tryout, they said, no, we don't need you. So, I was pretty discouraged. I think I was 23 maybe, 22. And same time I read an article about Clint Eastwood, I think the next day, and that inspired me to go to Hollywood, and that was 41 years ago. Yeah! Woo! So the moral of that story is, even though, there's something we dream about doing and want to do, and if that rug is pulled out from under us, there's always another door of opportunity that can open. We just need to get our head up and out of our own little muck and mire and look for that door of opportunity. Yeah.
You got sort of your first toehold, it seems, in the part in Blake Edwards' 10.
Yeah.
Now, what was that experience like? Because Blake Edwards was quite the character.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Edwards is probably a younger crowd here. Do you remember Blake Edwards? Okay, for the younger crowd, he directed all the Pink Panther movies.
Yep.
And he did a movie called 10 with Bo Derek. Julie Andrews, now Bo was an unknown. Julie Andrews was iconic. Dudley Moore was starting out, and yeah, so that was my first film. We were sent to these terrible locations of Hawaii and these resort beach cities of Mexico. It was wonderful.
Fun stuff.
My first film.
Fun stuff.
That's my first movie, but my first gig was actually 1977. Yeah, a small little TV sitcom. Yeah.
And then the blip that became Flash Gordon. How did that begin for you? When did that get that call from the agent or something? Say, yeah, they want to do Flash Gordon.
Well, no, I went to an audition, but evidently, from what I heard after that, because the audition process for Flash Gordon was back in, we're talking it started while I was shooting 10, 1978. It went on till probably 7-8 months of that process. Meetings, audition, and then we did, finally, Dino De Laurentiis sent me to England in early 79, and that's the old days of doing a Hollywood screen test. We didn't have video, okay? So we filmed an actual screen audition scene on film. That meant, hair, makeup, wardrobe department, all that. And that was a 30-day process once I arrived in England. But evidently I was told that I was spotted, that Dino De Laurentiis' mother-in-law was watching The Dating Game. How many remember the Dating Game? Going way back. That was Chuck Barris. And I was on that. I lost the date, but evidently she said, I think that's your Flash Gordon on TV right there. So that's what initiated that entire, am I talking too close? Yeah.
Do you remember what bachelor you were? Were you bachelor number 1, 2, or 3?
I think it was number 3.
Okay.
I lost the date. Yeah, I lost the date. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, but other good things happen.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'll let them go into the crazy stuff of Flash Gordon, but afterwards, you had some interesting roles. You were the first adaptation of The Spirit by Will Eisner, the TV movie, which I really quite adored, and I think that was supposed to be a pilot for an ongoing.
Yeah, that was for Warner Brothers and NBC.
NBC.
Yeah, Will Eisner endorsed it. He came on the set, said, I like you, do it. And we filmed it. We filmed it as a television, initially as a television pilot for series. But I believe it was aired as a movie of the week.
Yes.
We filmed it in '85, so I think it came out in 1986.
Yeah, it sat around for a while.
And do you remember who one of the leading ladies were in that? Anybody remember?
I know, but...
Who? Nana Visitor. You guys know Nana, right? From her...
Deep Space Nine?
Yeah.
Character of Kira?
Yeah.
You also was in that with Philip Baker Hall, one of my favorite actors.
That's right. Yep.
Absolutely good stuff. And then, this will be my last one, we'll turn it over to them. You did The Highwayman. Another thing which I loved.
The Highwayman, I mean, come on, guys. This is a guy thing, right? You get to dress up like Mad Max Road Warrior. I had a federal badge to do what I want, go where I want, and arrest who I want. And I drove a big 18-wheeler, man. It was that
had a helicopter in it.
Yeah, we filmed outdoors, the great outdoors of Phoenix, Arizona for 6 months. It's probably my favorite project because I like the outdoors. And
I wrote a review of this, and I said, any 2-hour movie that has Sam Jones, Wings Hauser, G. Gordon Liddy, Roddy Piper, and Lyle Alzado is automatically awesome.
Yeah, you definitely did your research, Patty. Good.
Oh, I'd watched it. I'm the one I watched that, so thank you for that. And we should talk. Obviously, we should talk about Ted and how. when did that call arrive?
Well, here's the cool thing about getting older. We should never complain or whine about it. Because we're getting old. I'm getting older. So that meant back then when I did Flash Gordon, which I can say next year we filmed it 40 years ago, that there were some young children who went to the movie theater and saw it at the age of 7, 8, 9. And they grew up, some of these children grew up to be decision makers in Hollywood. So long story short, I got a call, probably 7, 8 years ago, from Seth MacFarlane. And he said, Sam, when I was 8 years old, I saw your movie, Flash Gordon. I walked out of the movie theater, and you impacted my life so much that I knew I wanted to be a creative type guy. And I said, well, Seth, yes, you have become that, but also you become a bit perverted. I hope I had nothing to do with that. He said, funny guy. And he said, hey, look, Sam, I'm directing my first movie called Ted, about a cute little teddy bear. Yeah. And I want to bring you in and sort of make fun of yourself as Sam Jones, as Flash Gordon, and we'll have a lot of fun. And so that's what happened. So I'm starting to get these calls now as I get older that, again, young child watching a movie, growing up, to be a part of Hollywood and say, hey, we're doing this project, come on. So he brought me in for the Ted franchise. And hopefully we'll do part 3 one day.
And his hair is parted down the middle.
It's good, it's good. How many people have heard him sing? I mean, I don't know if he does it now, but he did it for years, traveled, especially in the UK, with a huge orchestra, and he sings Frank Sinatra ballads. Yeah. Not as a stand-up, okay? Not as a comedy, but as the real deal. The guy's a phenomenon.
His first love is musical theater.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right, that's all my silliness. I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I will say this much, though. One thing that I will always love about Flash Gordon is that it is the most perfectly cast movie of all time.
Come on.
It is the most perfectly cast movie of all time. Everybody in Flash Gordon, I think, was put there by the universe to be in that movie. You just said there was absolutely. So I got the microphone right here. So if anyone wants to come on up and go ahead and start, like I said, just one question at a time, please, and no request for him to say death to me. Hey, boss, what's your name?
My name's Nick, and I was wondering what it was like to work with Richard O'Brien.
Yeah. wonderful. For those of you who don't know, Richard O'Brien played the character of Fico in the movie Flash Gordon, sort of Timothy Dalton's right-hand man. Yeah. He wrote the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, he did.
And he was an actor in that movie. He was the guy with the shaved head.
Riff-Raff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm talking about in the movie. Yeah. Well, I think he had a shaved head as Riff-Raff too, right? No,
he was the guy playing the pipes.
Funky hair, yeah. But yeah, he was the guy in the shaved head that played the flute and all that stuff. Yeah, it was wonderful. We had another playwright as an actor, John Osborne, who he was in the would-be scene along with the rest of the Timothy Dalton's people. And he had the big staff. He was like the Moses, or he was like the leader.
The cleric.
Yes, the cleric. There you go. See, come on. Getting some translation going on here.
It's all face the
Remember, it's almost 40 years ago we filmed it.
Wow, that's good. Thank you, boss.
All right.
You don't have to be so far away from the microphone. You can form a line.
I'm coming.
What's up, Winter Soldier?
How's it going, guys? My name's Warren.
Yeah.
I had a question. After you're done acting, didn't you start your own security firm?
Yeah, but go back to the first half of that question. Say it again. After? Did you just say after I was finished with acting? Is that what you said?
Poor
Security?
phrasing.
Security. Take him down.
Poor phrasing.
No, but that's a great question. I was a Marine before I was an actor. So when the movie business got a little slow for me, and the phone stopped ringing, and my wife was I'm 64, so when I turned, about 49 years old, my wife was observing me. And this is good, this is for us guys, okay? It's a little lesson here about getting over ourselves, all right? And I address this quite a bit to the guys. So anyway, my wife turns to me and she says, honey, you're a talented actor. I've noticed you've been waiting by the phone for quite a long time now. Just a reminder, we have 2 kids in diapers, 1 just out of diapers, and there's the door. Come back when you're providing for this family. Man, we need to hear these things. No matter what our core competency or our primary skill set is. In other words, I was saying, I'm an actor. Well, guess what? Men, we should never say that, whatever our skill set is. We should be saying, I'm a working man providing for my family. So it took my wife to knock me upside my head. So I was gone for about two hours, okay? I came back with a construction job at the age of 49, which I loved. The old Marine in me. And then I realized, something's got to give here, okay? I can't wait by the phone for another 8 months to 12 months for it to ring. And I connected with some of my former military guys, and they were doing the high-end security business, what we call federal protective doctrine, protecting people around the world from, kidnapping and assassination. So I got trained up, recertified, found out what I needed to do, and was deployed. At first I protected a billionaire, and then I was deployed to Katrina, kind of excelled in Katrina, and then after Katrina, in a private sector now, not government. And then they asked me if I wanted to relocate to San Diego in 2005 to help run the cross-border security ops into the border cities of Mexico. So I've been doing that. Well, I did it, that was 2005. And I was full-time. Even though I was doing movies here and there, and by the way, 3 years later, after I committed to this new vocation, guys, at the age of 50, so unless we're healing a disability, a stunt injury, whatever it is, then I understand about waiting till the body heals and all that. But so so here's what happened. So when I committed to that with my wife's encouragement, the phone started to ring 3 years later to do what? To do more movies. So for the last 13 years, I've been in San Diego, and now I've been so busy with movies and Comic-Cons. I put teams together, but as far as hands-on, it's been about a couple months. But I love it. So that's my story, my transition of my life, which saved my marriage. So guys that ask me, how do you make your marriage work? Listen to your wife, number one. Women love that. Number two, get over yourself, stop the baby talk, and go get a freaking job, okay? Go get a freaking job. And you'll see that opportunity will happen again. That's my story.
Thank you.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Hey Sam, my name is Steven, and my question for you is, with all the new superhero movies that come out lately and the technology and the graphics, how does it make you feel when you see that Flash Gordon has really withstood the test of time? You know, it still has regular rotations and television and movie channels.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought you were going to say the test of time. It's still corny. It's still camp. It's still hilarious to me, okay? But no, it has. You're right. We have three blessings in Hollywood. Number one is being hired for a project. That's a blessing. Number two, if it does well, right? Success. Number three, if there's any longevity attached. Obviously, I'm sitting here right now, 40 years later because of Flash Gordon. But yeah, it's amazing. And what Ted did, I think what we're getting at here, is it opened up that younger age demographic for me, that fan base. So it's going to continue on and on and on. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, we have a secret question. Okay.
Oh, he just wanted to know if he got another question. I said, sure, just get back to the end of the line.
Hi, Sam. I'm Stephanie. Without being too specific, since there are children
Specific?
present, since there are children present,
So you want me to speak indirect? You mean spell the words instead of say them?
possibly.
It's okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
How did you feel about posing in Playgirl?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, a lot of people don't know I posed in the Bear NUDE in 1975. Why? Because my hero was Burt Reynolds. He was iconic in the 70s. And all of a sudden, he posed for Cosmopolitan magazine. I thought, well, if my so-called hero did that, then I better do that. So that was my motivation. It was my early years of trying to be a model. It didn't quite work, because my size was different. Some of the clothes that I actually wore for modeling was only Eddie Bauer expeditionary gear, okay? That's what I could fit into. So when I found out about, they wanted to do this, I did it, and they made up a big story. I was a billionaire at the age of 20, well, whatever I was, born in 54, so that made me, 21? They said I was the son of a billionaire and all that nonsense, but yeah, I did it. It didn't hurt me. I never used it in Hollywood because they're going to hire you based on your, let me say this right. Hollywood's going to hire you and me based on our talent. See, I'm still digging a deeper hole here. Based on can we deliver? Oh, I just dug a deeper hole. No, really. No reputable producer or director is going to put you and I in a movie unless we can, make it happen. See, am I out of that hole yet?
Not quite, but
I think you're good.
We have to be able to deliver.
thank you.
Cool.
We got to be good in acting. There you go. Yeah,
what's your name?
Never hurt,
Riley.
never help. But I don't think my kids, I have 5 kids and the 5th grandchild on the way. It's crazy, but their age is 35 to 17. I don't think they ever knew about this. I mean, we haven't talked about it. Maybe they're just, Dad?
It's not like when there's a magazine, you just hide it under the bed.
Funny guy, Patty. There you go. Let's dig that hole deeper.
This is Riley, everybody. Say hello to Riley.
All right, Riley. Do I have to spell things, Riley, or are we okay?
We're okay.
All right.
What's your most interesting part in a movie to you?
The most interesting part. Well, first of all, I'm grateful for being hired, that they're going to pay me to act. But the most interesting thing for me is, I guess, human behavior. Just studying other people. I mean, when they called me for Ted, I guess the most interesting thing for me in Ted was me. Why? I know it's crazy because it was my first big movie in about 10 years. I did a bunch of other independents. But it was my first big budget movie. Universal Studios, Mark Wahlberg, you know, he was a fan of mine, I'm a fan of his. And I think I was a little bit too excited, you know, a little bit too excited on the set, you know. And so
You were geeking about them, and they were geeking about you.
yeah, and I was geeking about me, geeking about them. Like, yeah, I think I was a little bit too excited. I think they saw it in me, and some of the people said, Sam, welcome, but, you know, take a breath and slow down, okay? Yeah, I mean, and it's just, again, it's so much fun working. It's sort of, it's a high and then it's a low, because you could be involved in a TV series or a movie. It could be a couple days, a couple weeks, it could be a year or a couple years. And once it's over, even though you've sort of created really good friendships and a bonding and a family, once it's over, it's pretty much over, you know?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Riley.
question.
I was wondering about Ted.
You're back again. Come on.
I was in Ted. Did you have a visual cue for the teddy bear, or
You know-
how was that?
You know, it's a great question. It's a very good question. Why? Because one of the first big budget movie in about 10 years for me. I'm not a big fan of Video Village, if you know what that is. In other words, I'm talking to this young man. Well, that's the camera. He's the camera. In my day, the director always stood next to the camera. They don't do that anymore. I don't know why. Anyway, I do know why, but it still doesn't make sense to me. So what the director now is in a little place called Video Village. He could be in the back room. He could be a half a mile away, you know, sitting in a tent or canopy looking at 2 to 8 monitors. And so it was kind of impersonal for me. I like my direction right here. So the other dynamic going on is that Seth MacFarlane, the director, is also the voice of the teddy bear that I'm acting. And there's no teddy bear, it's just a little, you know, mark on the wall or something. So, and of course, Seth MacFarlane is the voice as the director, giving me instructions. So a couple things are said, and I'd have to say, is this the director or is this the bear? Because they give me an ear, you know, they give me a little earpiece so I can hear the director. And he's doing the voice of the bear, so I could react to the bear. So it was a big challenge. So I finally asked, you know, when you get older, you don't mind embarrassing questions. I said, why are you back there in Video Village? He said, well, we got to make sure you're framed correctly and all that. I said, wait a minute. They pay the camera operator and the focus puller a ton of money to make sure that we are framed properly. So I still don't buy it. I don't like it. It's a little bit impersonal for me. But again, I got to say to myself, Sam, stop the baby talk and get over yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cal. At your table, I mentioned being a fan of it, but I was wondering if you had any memories of filming Silent Assassin.
Yeah, it was great. Silent Assassin. Yeah, it was one of the first. Well, we did that in the 80s. Yeah, it was my. I started competing or taking and then competing in Taekwondo right at the time, 1979. I started in LA with Jun Chong Taekwondo, and it just so happened that 2 of his top students and instructors were Philip Rhee and Simon Rhee. If you know those names, they produced and starred in a group of 5 movies called Best of the Best. And they went on to produce Silent Assassin. So we had all these martial artists just kicking and punching the you-know-what out of each other. It was wonderful.
All right, thank you.
And that was Linda Blair too, right? Yeah. Linda Blair and Mako. That's right, yeah.
Back again. Last question. I've read that there's been a lot of rumblings of a possible reboot of Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, would you like to see like a complete reboot, or maybe a continuation of the original story, get you and some of the original cast members back together, Melody Anderson, Ornella Muti, or some of the
I
other.
would like to see me in that continuous role, kicking ass and saving the earth.
There you go.
But Yeah, I mean, look, I got it. It's, you got the old guy. I got that. You got to have the good-looking guy and the good-looking younger guy, good-looking young. That's the formula for successful movies. I got that. Yeah, bring me in as the dad or whatever. But in reality, it's been in development. When you hear that phrase, "Oh, my movie's in development," in Hollywood, it usually means they don't have the money yet. Wait a minute, time out. It's been in development at Fox Studios for 4 years. So recently I just found out what happened, and they brought Matthew Vaughn on board. Big, Matthew Vaughn, right?
Yeah.
Big time director.
Yeah.
John Davis, big time producer. And I think what I was just told, because I met with Matthew Riley, the head of VP production at Fox way back then, that's exactly what we talked about. But what happened, all the creative minds came together and they decided they wanted to shoot this a certain way. So when they went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, that's the exact way they wanted to shoot the new Flash Gordon. But they didn't know what Guardians of the Galaxy was about. So now they're sort of stepping back and taking a different creative approach to it. That's what I've been told recently. But yeah, it's time. It's time to get her done.
Thank you. I was thinking the same thing. Have you have the children? You're still there and have the children still working to keep things straight and get back to Earth.
Well, yeah, have my son be Flash Gordon, whatever. I mean, whatever it takes,
Exactly. Thank you, Sam.
All right.
Thank you, boss.
Hi, my name's Gus. I'm just curious.
Wait, what's your name again?
Gus.
Oh, Gus. Okay, Gus.
So before the acting, you were in the Marines?
Still am.
Okay, so...
Once a Marine, always a
You're
Marine. I'm
always a Marine,
sorry.
so-
I don't apologize. I just can't help
Yeah.
it.
So any fun experiences from all the craziness from going and being a Marine at one time?
No, it's who I am, People ask me, some of my early representation asked me if I wanted to downplay this Flash Gordon image. I said, why? I said, I don't really see, it's the similarities between Sam J. Jones and Flash Gordon are really uncanny. To me, it's almost the same person. You got a superhero who doesn't have any superpowers. He relies primarily on his wit and his athleticism. And the wit is what a lot of us nowadays should be relying on. Wit to me is wisdom, not so much intellect. There's a lot of smart intellectual people in the world right now, but they're making some horrible, foolish decision. That's called not operating in wisdom. So anyway, Flash Gordon, wisdom, wit, and athleticism. And then me, Sam Jones, well, I didn't really have that big academic background, so I kind of pride myself now in operating in wisdom only because of all the failures I've had in my life. Because, men, we operate in mental illness. We don't know it. My mental illness was in Hollywood for all those, not all the years, but up until recently, was me making the same repetitive decisions and choices over and over again and expecting a different end result. That's freaking insanity, okay? Seriously. So at one point we have to stop. We have to make different choices so we can have a different good end result. So that's what I kind of pride myself on now and I can only communicate that by talking about my failures. So yeah, this uncanny relationship between me and, did I get off on a rabbit trail or did I?
You're fine.
No, well, it's
We all enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
your stage, man.
yeah.
It's all good. Gus, are you a Air Force veteran? 30 years.
All right,
Round
let's
of
hear
applause,
from-
30-year Air Force veteran.
30 years,
Here's
man.
a blue one.
Yeah, Gus, thanks, man. 30 years. You're still in. No. What? Once you're in, you're always in. All right.
Hey, boss.
Hi, Sam. My name is Daniel. Good to see you again, sir.
It's good to be seen.
I think we'll all have to admit that the soundtrack for Flash Gordon played a great part in the continuing, I want to say, just how long it stayed around. Do you have any memories of any interactions you might have had with Freddie Mercury or any of the members of the band?
Yeah, unfortunately, unless the band members are also actors, you never get to meet them. Because, we filmed that, it was done, we leave, we fly back home, And then the band walks into a recording studio weeks, months later, and they start creating by watching. Yeah, so unfortunately, I didn't get to meet any of them. Yeah. But Queen was really not only complimented the film, but it brought tremendous value. And what's really cool for the younger generation that maybe haven't even seen Flash Gordon yet, and then when they're brainstorming about the title, they go, "Oh, yeah, that movie that Queen did the sound." That's kind of cool that they identify the movie. Queen did the soundtrack to, as opposed to actually remembering the title, Flash Gordon.
Well, and to touch back on your last, it actually says it in the theme that he's just a man.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's kind of tying back into what you were saying.
Remember that, ladies? My wife tells me, don't ever give encouragement to the ladies. You let me do that. But I gave you the encouragement to the men. But based on what he just said, for the ladies, I don't mean to get a little serious now, but what my wife did for me when I was, kind of self-abusive to my own thinking, and a lot of these things that we do as men is self-induced. But what my wife was really instrumental about, and I'm saying this for the wives, is that when your man comes home, he's pretty much beaten up quite a bit throughout the day by the human condition, by stuff. So when he walks in that door, wives need to build up their men no matter what, because we've been sort of broken down. And again, it may not be, it could be self-induced. So that's really my only encouragement to all the beautiful wives, is just build up your man when he comes home. Is that cool?
I think it's cool.
Come on, guys, you better be going, yeah, baby. And that's what my wife did. But she was a special ed teacher for 20 years. She thought she retired 5 years ago, but I'm still in the house. That's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and I was wondering what it's like to play such an iconic character that resonates so many years later. Flash Gordon.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, What's it feel like to play an iconic character all these years later? Yeah, it's part of my DNA, I guess. And I guess initially being chosen to kind of step in those shoes. The original was Buster Crabbe. And I said in the early years, and by the way, I met Buster Crabbe because he helped us promote the movie in Christmas 1980. And for those who don't remember the original, he was, not only was he Flash Gordon, he was Buck Rogers, he was Tarzan, and he was Captain Gallant. And number 5, he was an Olympic swimmer.
That's right.
So, when we would talk, and I just remember saying to him, there's no way thank you for working with me and making this launch and promotion happen, but there's no way I could step into your shoes. And he basically said, Sam, forget about that, okay? They wanted you. If they wanted me, they would have brought me back. But just, give them who you are. Just give them who you are. And be true to yourself and true to the character.
Thank you.
But I love it. I really love doing this.
You succeeded, absolutely. Thank you. And I'm afraid this gentleman will have to be our last question.
What do you keep giving them?
Candy.
Oh, candy. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was money.
I thought it was.
The only thank you didn't ask anything too personal. Thank you so much. We don't want to talk about that. No, you know what? Whatever you want to talk about, I'll be upset if you have something on your mind and you're dealing with that, whatever it is, the fear of wanting, of not wanting to ask. Fear's a liar. So just ask whatever you want to ask. If it's an embarrassing question, for the guys, you have to drop and give me 50 push-ups. For the ladies, you get a pass.
Hey!
I wanted to ask about Flash Gordon, about your voice being redubbed. How did you find out about it?
Drop and give me 50 push-ups right now. Yeah, no, Flash Gordon, they looped and dubbed half my voice. Every movie, I've done 64 films, more television, but been films, been 64 films, and after every movie, we got to go back in and fix the mistakes. And I had two dynamics going on that I didn't go back. One was I had another movie I was doing, and number two, sort of some contractual issues with Dino. So fine, you want to dub my voice? Like, I know I don't have a James Earl Jones type voice. I didn't at the age of 24. But if you're going to dub anybody's voice, at least try to match it. Match it for the correct octave range or whatever. And that was the only thing that I got. And I learned a big lesson too. Because I was so busy working that I didn't have time to go to the opening in LA. So I invited 16 of my friends. And back then, that movie theater, one row was 16 seats. And I had not seen the movie yet. Okay, I had no idea about the voice. So I invited all my so-called close friends. And as this actor, Flash Gordon, started talking, I just remember getting lower in my seats. This is embarrassing. You see all the friends look at me like, who's that up there talking? Anyway, so the lesson is, see the movie first before you invite the world, okay? Especially your friends. Yeah, it happened. It happened. It happens quite a bit. But, again, what my motto is? Stop the baby talk and get over yourself and say thank you for the paycheck.
Are you able to watch the film now and enjoy it still?
Yeah, it's funny, all my movies, I've only seen half my movies. Maybe I was tainted by, I'm just saying why torture myself? I'm proud of the work I've done. So what is the purpose of me to watch my movies? Is it to say, look how great I am? Is it that reason?
Yes, that's it.
Or is it in the beginning? Did you say yes? No, it's not that reason. It's because now I think, in the early years, let me watch it so I can make some corrections. Wait a minute. Did I just say that? No, you can't make any corrections. Film doesn't lie. So I learned in the early years, it took me a little while, maybe 10 years in the business, if I'm going to read good press on me, look how great I am. Does that mean when I read bad press on me, now I'm down? No. So I stopped reading press. As long as you keep writing about me, God bless you. I don't care if it's good or bad. As far as watching, but the time I get to enjoy Flash Gordon now is some of the Comic Cons I come to on a Thursday night or Friday night will have a Flash Gordon private screening, which is kind of cool. So now I get to sit back. Because I've done 9 screenings. I've only seen Flash Gordon 10 times. And half the other movies I haven't, because there's no reason to. Unless it's all about me, man, It can't be.
Thank you for that, boss.
Got any more? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for spending all this time with us,
Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
Do we have time for one more? I know you got
Okay, somebody's got one last one.
Come on, one last question.
One last
For
one.
me or for Patty?
All right, he's got it.
Hey, my name's Lex. And I met you yesterday, chatted with my friend Barbara a little bit. With Seth MacFarlane doing the Orville now, he's bringing back a lot of the people that he's worked with in the past to participate in the show. If that's something, would you be interested in doing that? Or?
Of course, yeah. I'm always interested in work. It's wonderful.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did 6 movies. 6 movies the past year and a half, so we're excited. All independents. And there's a documentary on my life called Life After Flash, which is really cool. No, but if Seth wants me to come do that, he called me. He's got my number. But yeah, I've been very blessed to do. Last year I did 42 Comic Cons. And I did, 6 movies the past year and a half. And then this year I'm probably going to do 30, 35 cons. It's absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's a huge blessing to travel the world and meet you guys. And this is an opportunity. When you come to my table, it's an opportunity. Yeah, selfie, picture, all that good stuff, autograph. But it's your time to tell me your story. It really is. It's cool how I impacted you, good or bad, I mean, sometimes it's kind of negative. My dad forced me to watch you 1,000 times. Do I have a problem? I mean, sometimes. Yeah, no, but I get to hear your story. And look, I shared with you Seth MacFarlane. That's his story, man. You know, that's why I did Ted, which kind of, that big budget franchise sort of resurrected my career, because he had a story to tell, how I impacted his life. So that's what I get to hear from you. If it's a long story, the first thing when you come to my table, you'll say, I got a story to tell you. So my immediate reply would be, is it short or is it long? Because I got to monitor you. Obviously, if there's nobody in line, you tell me your long version. Is that cool? Let's hear it for Patty, guys. Come on. Come on, look. It takes a lot to walk with a piece of candy. Come on. Thank you very much, okay? Thank you for not asking those questions I told you not to ask, okay?
Just doing my job, doing my job. And speaking of, thank you so much for coming. You keep coming out to these shows. Thank you for spending time with all of us, talking about, yes, this silly, crazy, goofy movie you made such a long time ago, and treating us.
I've never called Flash Gordon goofy. I've called it corny, campy. What else? To me, visually, it's a masterpiece.
Tongue-in-cheek.
They're tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, it is kind of goofy. If you go back and watch some of those lines, they're hysterical. They went past me before, especially, yeah. But thanks for asking me my favorite scene of all time. My most difficult scene is the seduction scene with Ornella Moody sitting on my lap. I kept asking for a retake over and over and over and over again. I just wanted to throw that in there. Yeah, that was tough. That's tough movie making right there, I'm telling you, man. Okay.
Sam, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for your service.
All right, Patty. Thank you.
Absolutely.